right? So it's a request, yeah, it's a request. And then can be more polite when you use could you, right? Could you? And then, I always think this is BBC English, because who uses that? Would you stop calling me fatty? Why should you be so polite when someone is Would you stop urinating over me? It's very annoying. And then the weirdest one of always, will you? Because it just doesn't sound like, if you're not a native speaker, will you stop calling me fatty? Yes, next week. Perhaps. Depends on my mood. So you've got 4 answers there. So, yeah, this is a good way. And Tita Gillian, yes. You know, I was worried about, because we've done this with our students in the past. Did you feel that it ever confused them, or do you think that it helped them?
It helped them a lot.
It helped them a lot. Because again, like rather than you telling them what to do, or them just following the instructions in the book, they're having to pull these things out of their minds. You know? You're not feeding them, they're actually using their own minds. So it's a good way to do that. If you are following, it's on page 4. I'll just continue here because I don't know, I'm losing my track of thought now. The idea here is to get them using words, and by awarding points, they'll hopefully be eager to write as many as possible. They can learn from the mistakes, and most importantly, they should be able to explain how a different word changes the context. And I know from experience that a lot of students, sometimes they'll give you an answer, and at first it doesn't make sense. But then they will actually add something to the sentence. Like, for example, you say, should we take a break? And I'll say, okay, if you use the word should we take a break, why? Why can we use should we take a break? And they'll say, well, because maybe sometimes when you feel tired, you cannot think very clearly. So maybe it's a good idea, they don't speak perfectly like this, but maybe it's a good idea to take a break. And you'll go, yeah, okay, that makes sense. You know, so you can accept that. So they're actually thinking about the situation. And it's quite cool when they can do that. But then it's very tricky when they start doing the tests. Because that's what I was saying, when you make the tests, if you give them 2 answers that could fit, you know, they won't just choose the answer necessarily that you want them to choose. And they will think, well, you can use that if the person is for whatever reason. Because we can only put a sentence in the book, but we can't show the whole context of the conversation. It's a nightmare writing tests. It really is. But not as much as a nightmare doing them. Okay, where are we now? Sorry. Yeah, so just here's a little example of what I was saying. So when they say, shall we take a break? I'll ask them, why is that correct? And hopefully they can say it's a suggestion. And I'll say, for example, and I try to actually get them to imagine what the situation is. Well, maybe one person is asking another person if they think it's a good time to stop for a while. Can we take a break? Maybe perhaps the students are asking their teacher for a break because they are tired, or maybe they're bored, probably bored. May we or could we are just polite ways of asking. So they're explaining to you why the words fit. Okay? Page 5, spending time doing oral exercises in which you prompt them by asking them to make examples like warnings. So I'll say, again, I want to get them using those words like warning, suggestions, on-the-spot decisions. And I want them to stand up. Sometimes, oh, by the way, if you have a big class like 25 students, if you get one student to do it one by one, seriously, you're going to run out of time. You know? So I'll often just ask them to stand where they're standing, and just a person beside them. Just I say, put your heads together quickly, mate. And I won't just do 25 suggestions, maybe like 4 or 5 suggestions, 4 or 5 warnings, 3 or 4 on-the-spot decisions. Get them speaking, get them using the language. I wish I could do more oral practice, but can't because we've got to do the schedule and we've got to get ready for those tests. Remember, you have to find a balance that gives them time to complete their exercises too. Because you don't want to be rushing the exercises. If you've spent 45 minutes doing the aura exercises and you've allotted yourself 15 minutes, it's going to be, okay, let's rush. It's horrible. It's not really a good environment, not a really good way to learn. So keep watching that clock. I usually do that, but I'm just waiting to see if it's home time. Okay, week 3, getting there. Okay. First hour, goal. A pretty straight. Week 3, thank God, is that you get a chance to breathe here. Oh, nice and simple. Should and shouldn't. Okay. Sometimes, you can use must, you can use should. Should and must can sometimes cross over, but basically, should is, it's a good idea. It's advice, right? So, and again, that's explained in the rules. And if you want to use the raw explanations in the book, go ahead, but don't spend too much time doing them because I think it will bore them. So we got should here. So I've got one sentence there, another one about Mr. Chen. Mr. Chen should give the Chinese teachers a raise. Mr. Chen must give the Chinese teachers a raise. Mr. Chen has to give the Chinese teachers a raise. And I would ask them, so what's the difference? Why should? Why should? Why are we using should? What's the difference between should? When we say he should give the Chinese teachers a raise, what do we mean? It's a suggestion? It is a suggestion, it's advice, it's a good idea. Because that's what we want them to know about should. Because if he doesn't give them a pay rise, maybe they will leave. So if he wants to keep them, he should give them a pay rise. Just joking, Mr. Chen. Mr. Chen must give them a pay rise. Do you know why? Because Michelle Ma says so. And then has to. So you just want to remind them that all these words are similar. And they can all be used, they all fit. You're losing your hair, you should wear a wig because you look terrible. You look like, well, you're pale and pasty. It's all right being bald when you've got a nice colour, but a white head, you look a bit weird. You must wear a wig because looking at you makes me feel quite sick. So please, you must. Oh, I can't stay here any longer. And you have to. Okay. Right, it's just silliness there. Discuss the differences made by using should and must. They all fit after all. You can use prompt by starting off sentences that they must finish orally or in worksheets. So here's something that you can do, and it's very simple. We want them to use should or shouldn't. So for example, I'll give you a few. There's too much pollution. There's too much pollution in Taipei City. What should we do about it? There's too much pollution in Taipei City. Anybody make a sentence? Someone, please help me. Yeah.
Electric cars.
We must drive less.
But we're using should. So let's no.
We should use.
Don't be sad. Your sentence is must is also okay, but we're using should.
We should drive less.
We should drive less.
Use public transport.
We should use public transport, right? We should recycle more. So there's loads of things, right? And another one like, I keep on coughing and my teeth are yellow.
You should stop smoking.
Yeah, and brush your teeth, you dirty pig. Alright, so again, you can just pull these out of the hat. Again, you can get everybody to stand up, should, think of some with shouldn't, just to get them using. And shouldn't, they know that already. So then you can just go, fine with this one, you can just go straight ahead and do, excuse me, and do the exercises. Where is it now? Second hour. Go here for students to know that could and may can be used to express ability, but also to express possibility. And this is the final tricky thing in this unit, So you've got to think of some sentences, for example, like, don't touch that bag, especially in the London Underground. It could be a bag of fish and chips. Very bad for you. No, it could be a bomb, right? Or, hey, why isn't Mr. Chen here? He could be sleeping in his coffin, you know, and he wakes up in the evening. Cut that. I knew I said something that I shouldn't really say. Anyway, you get my point. Is my face red? I've completely lost my train of thought now. Okay. So again, just a few little sentences on the board just to break into to warm them up before they start doing the exercises. And also by this time, there are so many modal verbs now that you can, if you actually try this in the final week, you'll be amazed by, like, sometimes there could be like at least 6 or 7 different words that you could use that make a very subtle change in the question. And I like doing that because, of course, you know, we sometimes tell people, just do it this way, just do it that way, don't argue, just do it this way. I don't. I want to encourage them to, you know, show off and question me. I want them to be able to think for themselves. So again, you can do that. You can do that again, especially in the final week. It's a good way to round up. You've got about 8 sentences, and you know, sometimes maybe students, they've got 8 questions. They might have like about 12 or 14 different modal verbs that they use to complete the whole worksheet. But then some kids might have used like about 26, 27. You know, so you can see who's got a good grasp and a good understanding of all the modal verbs and all the little differences that they make. But the thing is, like I've said before, they must be able to explain why you can use that modal verb. And and often the sentence that they always begin with, I always tell them, is perhaps someone is not sure if he will come, so they only know that he may come. They don't know that they're not sure, so they can't say he will come. Okay? Right. So that's the unit covered. Where is it? Sorry, one moment. Page 7. Okay. Just the last part here are just some notes. I'll probably think of more when I'm going through them. If you don't mind looking at this. No, I have one. If you don't mind just going through it with me. Foreign teachers, I've said this before, foreign teachers and Chinese teachers must communicate with each other. I don't care if the foreign teacher was rude to you, or if the Chinese teacher keeps on writing bad things about you in the green book. You're adults! This is not a school playground. I can't stand Jillian, but we communicate. It's gotta be, because it's a team effort. It's a really team effort, you know. And also, like, we're there, the foreign teachers, we're there for a couple of hours. Well, what's going on before we go there? What's going on after we go there? You know, and it's a fact of life that there are strong foreign teachers and there are weaker ones. There are strong Chinese teachers and there are weaker ones. So I don't know. What does Mr. Chen tell you, the managers, about how to pair up teachers? Does Mr. Chen have a philosophy? When he wakes up? It's all right. We won't watch it. Go on.
The strong ones with the weak ones, maybe.
Yeah. Is that what you do, or is that just something that you've heard but you don't actually?
No, we do that.
Yeah.
So that they can help each other grow up.
Yeah, because I know, like, even in this school, but I know someone told me that it's really difficult to find co-teachers right now. Is that correct?
Yes.
What's the reason? Okay, say no more. I can pretty much guess. Probably something that I spoke about earlier on, right? Yeah, it keeps on drinking their blood. Yeah, so, yeah, 'cause we have that problem right now. No, mention no names, but we have like a new co-teacher, and we have a foreign teacher who yeah, whatever. but they're struggling, and I don't feel that they communicate enough. You know, and also I'm lucky because I work over there. I work in
Kindergarten.
in kindergarten over there. So when I'm finished at 12 o'clock, basically I can just cross the road, and I can spend a little time chatting with my kids at lunchtime. And sometimes if like at the end of the day, if I've got a little bit of extra time, or during a part of their nap time, I'll give them a little bit of help. But I can't say that every foreign teacher should do that, because maybe you're coming from a different location. But you know, if you can spend a little bit of your free time with them, you know, so for example, if you've got a couple of students who are not understanding something, you can just spend 5 or 10 minutes with them. If you can do that a few times, you know, it's every little bit of help will help. Plus, I enjoy spending time with the kids, because adults, I don't know, I like kids more. I've got nothing to say to adults. All the adults are younger than me, but the kids, they're my level, because my mental age is about 8. Anyway, yeah, so if you can spend a little bit of extra time with the kids, and also it's going to help you. You know, sometimes Teacher Gillian and I will, if we know that a student's having some time, we'll ask the parent, can they just stay till maybe 7 o'clock this evening? And then you can help them, maybe if they need to catch up with their workbooks, or if they're struggling with something. And that little bit of individual care will be a big help. And also the managers will love you if you do that. You'll get much nicer Christmas presents. Where are we? Where's my paper gone? Sorry. Oh God, I'm useless without my paper. There we go. So, I said this, yeah, Chinese teachers need to let the foreign teachers know what problem the students are having. So for example, if like 8 students made the same mistake in the test, you definitely not use the same question, but a similar question, and put it in there again. And then you can start seeing the mistakes are coming down, Because I think that's the best way, that's always my goal, to get a good test score. I hate to say it, but everything everything I do is in preparation for the test, because that's what we're going to be judged on. And I live in fear of getting a really crappy score. So I'm just being honest to the foreign teachers. You need to know that. Really pay a lot of attention. And also, if you're not familiar with our tests, all of the tests are kept in a file. So take a look at them. Like the roundup is always multiple choice. It's part of the grammar. The thing that, if you weren't here this morning, Teacher Lisa was teaching something from motivated writing. Motivated writing it starts off like with sentences, like your conjunctions, like, you know, and then you move on to or and but and because. And then with those things, then you've got to start paying attention to punctuation, you know, capitalization, and it gets more and more difficult as we go along. This one is not done as multiple choice. This book is done as a writing section. So like 15% usually, and there'll be 5 sentences. For example, like he got tired of teaching, and then in brackets they'll give them because. And that could be a big B, it could be a small b, and depending on that, they have to write the sentence in its entirety. So every book, you've got to prepare for them in a different way. But the good thing about Roundup is no matter how much work there seems to be done, it's only going to be done in multiple choice in the test. So make sure you know those. Also, like before when the tests are on the way, sometimes the teachers will give the students the test from the year or the previous years. So that will be a good indicator of how well they're not doing. Okay. Said this before. There will always be slow learners. Case in point. If you can help them to understand at least 75% of the stuff, you know, sometimes you just know this kid can't learn it. Bad genes. But if like, it's like a battle. Honestly, sometimes I feel it's like going to war with some kids. But I'm a stubborn son of a gun. Okay, a son of a gun. So yeah, I didn't say anything bad there. And I won't give up. And I always think, like, even if my weaker ones, I just, come on, if you can get like 88, 89, get up to the 90, I'll be so happy with you. So if I can get them to at least like 75 or 80%, rather than just feeling frustrated and then screwing up the test completely. It's possible. You can get them, they might get a score over 80, which is not going to destroy your test average. Do some exercises with them. What am I talking about here? Oh yeah, okay. The exercises in the book. I've said this before. When you do the exercises with the book, sometimes I'll do it under a test condition. And what I mean by that, if you don't know exactly, is that, okay, this one, even the first unit here, in the past, I don't think I've ever had a class of students where every single student got the whole exercise correct. Because basically this is the first ever exercise that they've done where they have to contrast can and could. So no matter how smart your students are, there will be some, and more than likely a lot of mistakes. You know? But it's no good losing your temper the first time they do it. But you need to know. You need to know if they're learning, and you need to find out and then keep that record in your mind or on a piece of paper, the ones that are not getting it. And then maybe you can do a worksheet, or maybe one that the teacher will send home. And what you want to see is those mistakes coming down. You know, so instead of like 5 mistakes, then suddenly people are making 1 or 2 mistakes only, and then maybe one day you'll do an exercise and everyone gets it right. You know, it happens once in a while, but it's a relief. Then you know that they're improving. You know that they're improving. And then other times when I do the exercises, I'll get them. We'll just discuss the answers. So I'll even have them to say the answers to me. Have them repeat it a couple of times, and I'll say, okay, now go ahead and write it. So you don't want to do the same. You don't want to do every exercise the same way. And then there are simply some exercises that you just feel it's not very interesting. So you even encourage them, okay, let's get this one. Just do this one, and then I'm going to give you a better worksheet than this. So you can judge it. You can judge that yourself. Okay. Stuff can be reviewed at any time. Remember what I was saying when you're teaching all of these modal verbs, start using them around the classroom. You know, deliberately be polite to your students and say would you or will you rather than just shut up. Be polite to them. I know it's hard to break a habit of a lifetime, but try it. Okay? So yeah. Also, when I say stuff can be reviewed at any time, you know, sometimes you reach the end of the class, you've got 5 minutes spare before they go home, before someone starts screaming on the intercom. And then I'll just say, okay guys, before you go home, I want you all to line up, and I want you to, like maybe it's the 3rd week and you haven't done this for a while, and okay, I want you to make a sentence about something that you didn't have to do before you go home. And of course they're all eager to go home. And they know that as soon as they finish, they can leave. So you can just come back and review it anytime, you know. So because you want to keep the stuff fresh in their minds. You can't just like do this and then after that week is over, just forget about it. You've got to come back. And you can do that anytime. Deliberately use the language yourself, encourage them to do so too. Last page, oh my God, I'm going to finish early. And most important of all, remember that things taught in Roundup, said it already, are only in the multiple choice section of the test. New teachers especially must become familiar with the style. After all, it's great to have a class of kids with wonderful spoken English, because this is what I found. This is the problems that I made mistake for many years. Even when Sunshine moved from when Sunshine began having the tests, I remember I had a few really bad test scores because I always thought, oh, I don't care about a test. My students can speak English. That's good enough for me. Sound like someone you know?
Yeah.
No names. Oh, so they got 73, but I know that and it could be true. Could be true. I mean, I remember back in the day, like one of the best classes I ever remember. Like I used to say Mickey Mouse English. It's like watching the Disney Club on a Saturday, Sunday morning. All these little kids with their, I don't know how they had American accents, because I don't bloody have one. You know, some of them had it. The other ones with American accents, they got slapped regularly. Just joking. But like you could see, and you hear them talking and running around, and it was really, the English was really great back in those days. And I think that we have sacrificed English a little bit in order to prepare for the test. But
A lot.
that's the beast that Sunshine is. That's the way we need to be. So don't get sidetracked too much by spending too much time giving them the oral practice. Although it's fun and it's great to hear them, you have to cut them off at some point and get down to the business of writing the exercises. Okay, I've gone through all of my notes. So, are there any questions, or maybe you have some situations or problems, difficulties that maybe I could help with, if possible? Any questions? Or have I just said everything that you need to know? Come on, don't be shy. Teacher Lisa said that when she asked you this question the other day, you were shy at first, and then you began asking her questions. Yes? Thank you.
We used to have a big class, like 25 students. How do you balance the fast learners and the slow learners?
How do I balance them? I think it's going back to what I said earlier. You know, if I'm, sometimes, and some, let me get this right. You have slow learners, and also they have different weaknesses too, right? So if you're communicating with the co-teacher, I mean, sometimes the foreign teacher will see who has the problems. Sometimes the Chinese teacher will discover that they have problems with spelling or with writing. So if they're having problem with a particular, if they have a weakness in grammar or with the writing, I will simply find the time to give them extra help. I know it sounds simple, but sometimes it might not help. But I just try and make the time to help them, because I want everybody in the class to reach a good level. So I'll give them the extra help. And like I said, if for example, like you in this book, tomorrow I'm supposed to teach how to teach there's a unit about if. And then there's like one sentence like, I will go shopping, the weather will be good. And they're supposed to like, if the weather, sorry, no. Well, I'm getting confused myself.
If the weather is good, I will.
Yeah. If the, oh no. Okay, well, you've got two sentences with will, and then one of them becomes present tense. Like, my dad will be angry, I will fail the test. And it was, my dad will be angry if I will break, if I will fail, no, if I fail the test. So sometimes students have a problem with this one, but then they don't have a problem with another one, like for example, like a warning. God, my mind is empty again now. They won't have a problem with just combining two sentences, like
If you put sugar in water, it will be something else.
my mind has gone completely blank. Can you turn off the camera?